The entire team at Emsolation want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We want to recognise that we are recording and telling our stories on the stolen land of our country's first storytellers. We wish to pay our respects to all Wurundjeri elders and ancestors, and to extend that respect to any First Nations peoples who listen to Emsolation. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples' continued connection to the land and waters of this country, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Always was, always will be.
Extra. It's Emsolation Extra.
Well, hello there. We are going to give you a little amuse-bouche, a sneak peek, a preview tasting, that's not a thing, of what goes on in our Emsolation Extra subscription premium episodes each week. Michael Lucas, as you know, my co-host, my best friend, my non-romantic life partner, is the creator, writer, god of the Newsreader. It's currently screening on the ABC, season 3, and we had a bunch of our listeners, our wonderful listeners, write some questions in. So what you're going to hear is a little sample of what's gone out to them this week, with the hopes that you'll hear it and it will fade out at a very important moment and you'll be like, holy shit, I need to subscribe to that lady's podcast to hear this answer. That's the idea of this. I'm going to be very transparent with you. So please enjoy this little sample of this is the good stuff that we put behind the paywall, and you're getting it for free. And if you do decide you want to sign up, there's a free 7-day trial. So honestly, I mean, why wouldn't you? Enjoy.
It's Emsolation Extra.
Well, hello there and welcome to a very special Newsreader themed AMA. Michael Lucas joins me.
I do. Hello.
I've finished episode 4.
Oh, yes. Oh, well, there's going to be some spoiler alerts.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
I've finished episode 4 and there are a few things I was surprised at.
Okay.
I was surprised with the choice of VHS sexy montage with Kay and Dale.
Yeah. There's a question about that I saw.
That feels foreboding. That feels
Yeah.
like that tape's going to come out back to haunt Dale perhaps at another time. Or doesn't? It
I
feels
don't
like
want to give it away.
Okay, well don't. That was something I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying Kay's slow descent into her mother.
Okay. Yeah.
Controversial.
Kay's got a controversial arc this season.
I'm enjoying. The only thing I'll say to that is, why didn't we see sprinklings of it in season 2? Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like almost like she's single white femaling her mother. She's even saying the words the same way.
Yeah, she is.
It's a very, it feels very Disney villain. Feels very you.
Oh, yeah. No, but you got to keep in mind, in season 2, we never saw her when she wasn't full-blown like addiction or recovery.
True.
So in some ways,
She was nicer.
well, when we came into season 3, like we did all this research into people post-addiction. There's some really interesting things about it. Like people saying, you know, want to know the truth? It's boring. Like it's a monotone. And also you have to deal with everywhere you go. People are like, how you going?
Oh,
you poor you. And you have all this sort of like,
I gotcha.
So the idea of her going, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fabulous and in pictures and I'm going to like, there's a bit with that. My favourite bit of hers is when she looks at mum and she goes, all the attention's on me now.
Yeah, and
None of it's
you're
on you.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can't stand it.
That was hectic.
I know.
That was so hectic.
Yes.
And then there was, I hate her producer. He is a weasel from Weaseltown.
Wayne.
He's the mayor of Weaseltown.
God.
Is his name Wayne?
No, his name's Bill.
Bill.
But, yeah. Again,
Bill the
mate.
Weasel.
I wish, this is one instance where I feel like I want to say, well, don't judge him too soon, but you can.
He's a weasel from Weaseltown.
You shouldn't. Like in episode 4, you already feel that strongly?
I knew he was a weasel when he was there at the house with Gillian Cosgriff.
Oh, wow.
Ep
Okay.
1, I said to Chella, weasel.
Oh.
And the way he doesn't stand up for her and the way he speaks to her.
Yeah, right.
And I totally would have told Nolene that I was about to go in on her husband the way Helen delivered that news in that meeting.
Yeah.
I definitely would have delivered it in that
Fair.
exact.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go into questions. That's my favourite prop, as discussed via text message, is the gay lions fighting above
behind
the CEO's desk.
Yes.
Ben will put a picture up of the affirmation picture, and I need it for the insulation set.
It
needs
actually
to hang,
would. You do have
No, yeah, it's got
the
all the
animal
colours.
kingdom felines here.
Please find me gay lions fighting.
Okay.
Was there?
It was created by the art department. We had references. It was definitely Emma Freeman.
Can you tell me everything about that painting? Tell me about the discussions. Tell me about the choice. And the way that the shot begins with it and just a slow pan
Pulls
out.
I know. It was.
And Jella and I, gay. We both shouted gay 10 times.
I know. But no, it was, I remember the idea for it came when we were location scanning for offices, because you want to be in these offices and you want to convey that this is a CEO that takes himself. Basically, what we wanted to communicate with him is he thinks he's terribly important and
So he's the CEO, Dale's boss.
Yes, and is a bit blind to his own shortcomings. And we were sort of in these offices, and it's really hard for just an office to convey. And I remember Emma goes, "What if?" There were like fighting lions and behind, and then we looked up these weird like references on the internet and sent them to the art department, and they produced that. Magnificent.
That would be the greatest email to receive of a lifetime.
I know.
If you sent me something saying, "M,
I know.
I need you to fashion." I would have done it for you on the iPad on the Procreate. I would have literally made it happen for you. And you know they would have been way more human-like than what the art department gave you. They would have had pecs and a six-pack.
They'll be sexual.
They would have been
sexualized
whatever
lines.
the line version of a Minotaur is what I would have made. All right, we're going into your questions. So many came in for Michael. I'm just going to ask them. Michael will be the conduit of information. First question is from Kane. Hi, Michael. How many endings did you have in mind for the... Now, needless to say, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched...
yeah, totally.
If you haven't
Only
watched
listen to this if you're finished.
all 6 eps, go and listen and then come back and see us. Unless you're me and you don't care about spoilers, because it's my own fault.
It's comforting.
I take responsibility for my
And also
actions.
you like to watch things a second time or when you know
100%.
what's going to happen.
100%. Hi, Michael. How many endings did you have in mind for the Newsreader finale? Or was this the one and only ending?
I would say that...
I don't know how it ends.
I know, but I've got to say it now.
Is it anything that we discussed? We had a big discussion ages
I
ago
don't know. Well, I'll
about
talk
how
about
you
it
wanted to
now.
end it. Okay, tell me how it ends. Oh my God, I can't believe this is how I'm finding out.
Yeah, there were the 3 main planks, like Dale and Helen, and then what happens in the relationship. All of them, like, were thoughts that emerged back, like, at the start or in season 1, and then as time went on, they sort of stood the test of, like, every time we returned to it, they still felt right. So it wasn't like I got to season 3 and thought it could be this, could be this, could be this. It felt like,
You knew.
do these and yeah, Dale's was pretty easy for
To
me.
anyone judging me, his husband hasn't watched it yet.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that's true. You're actually 1 episode ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Dale's...
What's Dale's ending?
It's perfect.
Well, yeah, well, basically, you're probably already starting to see, like, the pressure of maintaining this faux king of news things is starting to erode him, and it eventually...
And listening to the listener
yeah,
feedback
obsess
tape.
him. Yeah. He has a breakdown on air. And,
Oh,
You are going to love it.
yes.
and essentially obliterates everything. But then, like, faces his worst, like, it's the worst thing he could possibly imagine in the world. Worst thing ever. But when it happens, he's still breathing. There's one person in the world that's still there for him.
Helen.
Yeah. And it ends with him realizing, I've faced the worst thing that I'll ever have to face. And now my future is a blank page. I don't have to be that version of me anymore. And I get to dream a new life for myself. And that's where it ends. And I always, obviously, like, because, not that obviously nothing like that's happened to me. But the whole...
You are Dale. We know this by now.
No, but like it was always like that's what like you create this fake version of yourself to get love, and then you do it effectively for a while and it works, and then it kind of erodes you, and then
I'm aware of masking.
Yeah. But then when it shatters, it's the
a
worst.
relief.
But yeah, well, at first you think before it happens, you're like the worst thing that could happen to me.
Yeah.
And then it happens, and you're like, that had to happen. Anyway, so that was. I would say that was always my sense of it, even before we shot a frame of the series, like when we were writing it.
Yeah.
Helen I mean, obviously, I always thought professionally like it was going to be, at the start of the 80s, there were a couple of women newsreaders, and by the end of the 80s, you had yarn events. So I always wanted her to go like that. But with her mental health, I really remember season 1, episode 2. Remember the bit where she's like having a breakdown, but she's going on air and masking it and flipping on and off. And I always felt like by the end of this story, she's got to get to a point where she acknowledges who she really is on air, but not in a breakdown way, in like kind of a like she admits I've struggled with my mental health and blah, blah, blah. So that I thought that pretty early on. And then the other main thing about the ending is that ultimately she's the one that sort of is there for him and saves him. And that was, I really remember this. We were filming the first ever episode, these scenes in Dale's house. Remember how it all begins with she's like, he scoops her up, like she's fallen apart and sort of had a suicide attempt. He brings her home and is kind to her, and he's literally the only person that's there for her. And Anna and Sam were doing those scenes, and they were so, like, they had such a good connection, because it was like, you could read it as romantic sort of, or sisterly, or even maternal or whatever, but either it's just like this kinship. And I remember looking at that thinking, the last episode has got to be that she saves him. Like, and the whole show's sort of got to say, he did this act of kindness and empathy for her, and even though then he goes on to make horrible mistakes and he obliterates himself and loses everything, there's one person that's still there to pick him out of the gutter, and that's her. And not because they're lovers or even on screen together, no other reason other than there's that kinship and love.
I'm aware of this kind of relationship.
Yeah, so all of them, season 1.
I love that. I love that. I love that your show represents that kind of relationship, because what we have, but nobody ever does that. No. I can't think of another show that has successfully, because you gave the romantic push-pull so people bought in, but ultimately you don't want them entangled because you want them to be there for each other in a way. Often
weirdly,
romance,
it's purer or something.
Yeah, it is. So I think you captured that. I mean,
and they both end up completely single, and that was also I've done a lot of shows that end up with someone ends up in a romantic situation. I know audiences love that, but it felt important to me that the victory is that they still have each other.
A real love story that isn't necessarily romantic is celebrated.
Doesn't fit into definitions.
So many people are alone right now, except they forget they have friends, so they are loved. Yeah, no, that's good. You've done well, kid. All right, next question. Liz, how much input did Sam and Anna have to the ending?
Oh, well, I mean, they're hugely involved. Every season, I collaborated with them more. By season 3, I had big discussions with them before I even got together with the rest of the writers. But
Which is rare, dear listeners.
Yeah.
Rare.
But also it's more like the big like macro, this is where we're heading, they were on board with.
They already knew.
Yeah, but then what you really work on them is like, how do we get there? And actually it's interesting with Sam. So as I mentioned, Dale has a breakdown on air. In what I first scripted with the team, do you remember once, there's Mike Willisey, who's the 80s host, and remember he was an alcoholic, and once he came on air when he was trying to like go cold turkey and he was sort of drunk and I was obsessed with it. I read it in his autobiography. It's riveting. He tried to go cold turkey and he wigged out and went on air. And so originally Dale's breakdown I wrote very much mirroring that. I actually wrote that Kay did a bit of an intervention on him and it failed. And but then this is what was cool about Sam. He was like, alcoholism, yes, sure, but that can be part of it. But I want the main thing to be that it's a proper breakdown. And he goes on air and he snaps and says like the worst of his wound, which is like, so Sam challenged me to write like, you hated me, so I changed everything about me, and now you hate me even more. When he said that to me, I'm like, oh my God, can we get him there? And then we just had to figure out what are the things that are going to get Dale there. So that was all done in collaboration with Sam and Emma, obviously. That was a big difference. Wow. And Anna just really, the way the misogyny plays in her workplace, she didn't want to repeat the way it plays with Lindsay, because we've just done the screaming, and she goes, we've got to find like a subtler and also more, because I don't know most people.
Is that the weasel?
Bill.
Bill.
Well, okay, yes. And
I knew I've worked with Bill. We've had a Bill work here before.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we
yeah,
have.
rather than the screaming thing, she was interested in like the person that appears to be your
I'd
ally.
prefer Lindsay to Bill.
Right, yeah, wow.
9 days to Sunday. I would prefer Lindsay over Bill. And I've worked with both. I'll take Lindsay every day.
Interesting.
Bill's the worst type of human.
Yeah.
And they're all in telly and radio. Radio attracts Bills, let me tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with. I mean, Lindsay. It terrifies me that people say so many people have him as a boss, but for me, it's not. I've seen it, but the Bill scenario. I'm a nice guy. I'm a work guy. I'm a like all.
If it were now, he'd have a T-shirt that said feminist.
The future is female.
100%. Fuck you, Bill, you weasel. Okie dokie. Did you ever consider, this is from Sil, did you ever consider an ending for Dale where he took control of his story and came out? Well, I mean, I can answer this for you, but you answer it. If not, why not? I hate when I already know the answer, but go.
You don't know. Maybe you don't.
I actually do because I know you better than anyone in the world, but yeah, go.
Look.
If you want to hear what happened next, give yourself the gift of Emsolation Extra. For less than $2 a week, you get 2 bonus episodes every week, close friends access on Instagram, pre-sales ticket priority, and merch discounts. There's even exclusive video episodes of our sealed section every Thursday on our extra tier for less than $3 a week. Find out more at emsolation.supercast.com now.